where would I be? Last time if it had not been for the Lord on my side, tell me where would I be? Where would I be? Good morning, family. It's Capri Cares. Know that I care, and guess what? Care that I know. We're about to have us a marvelous show today. It is Thankful Thursday, whatever you want to call it. Put that in the chat. Let's have us a marvelous show. Let's sing today. Peace. Good morning, it's Capri Cares. Know that I care that I know. This is our daily motivation and inspiration for our mental health ministry here at the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church. It's Capri Cares. Know that I care that I know. If it had not been for the Lord on our side, where would we be? Thankful Thursday on today. Put that in the chat, everybody. Put that in the chat. Thankful Thursday. I need everybody to put that in the chat. Some people are coming in. We're grateful that you are here with us. Listen, y'all, I also need you to put in the chat. Not only Thankful Thursday. Put in the chat as a hashtag. Your commitment will cost you. Your commitment will cost you. We want to thank God first and foremost for just God being God. We also want to thank God for Lucy Arrington, who blessed us with that wonderful thought through Darius Daniels. Good morning, Aunt Cheryl. It's Thankful Thursday. Good morning to you. So you have two things you need to put in the chat. Thankful Thursday, your commitment will cost. And then put in the chat, add followers and add highlights. So the algorithm can be awakened by motivation. All right, everybody, what is faith? What is faith? Faith is finding acceptance in the hardship. That's faith. What is faith? Faith is forsaking all involves trusting him. That's faith. That's faith. Let's back up, Jazzy. What is faith? Finding acceptance in the hardship. What is faith? Forsaking all involves trusting him. That's faith. Faith can be a lot of things. And today we want to talk about our faith. We want to talk about, our Red Sea Road experience, because we want you and I to be more in tune with trusting God to deliver in his own unique way. So those are my acrostics for faith for now. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Madam Dean Pendergrass, for giving us those acrostics for faith. Question. What makes faith quantifiable? What degrees of faith did Jesus address? Just those two questions real fast. Quickly. What makes faith quantifiable, and what degrees of faith did Jesus address? I want to look at those two questions. Look at those. What makes faith quantifiable? What degrees of faith did Jesus address? And this is something that we want to be able to do. I'll do it this way so that you can still see it. Making sure that, let me do this. Making sure that I am sounding the way I want to sound, and I'm not. So, check. Yeah. Had to do that. I had to change my sound. All right. Aunt Cheryl, Jazzy, what makes faith quantifiable? Faith is quantifiable because faith can be measured. My faith, your faith, our faith can be measured. Jesus addressed in the Gospels, we know at least three types of faith. How many types? Three. Three. Three types. Yeah, he did it. He did it. He addressed it. And we want to be able to make sure that we are walking in the place, in the pursuit where our faith can be addressed and assessed. And it takes some time. It takes some growing. Let me see. Yeah. So great faith was mentioned. Little faith was mentioned. No faith was mentioned. So the tension, excuse me, Aunt Cheryl, the tension lies in how do people who follow Christ become people that's faithless and have little faith? The called, the converted, the commissioned, those who have a great conviction were given the title little faith and no faith. Both little faith. Let me pull up this picture so you can see it. This picture here. This picture here. Somebody shout this picture on this thankful Thursday. This picture here. I wanted the whole screen. This picture right here depicts a situation where they were described as having no faith. This picture, Mark chapter 4. Great faith, little faith, no faith. This is a no faith picture. Excuse me. How many times in life do we get in the storms of life and you and I demonstrate that we have either little faith or no faith? It's easy. It's easy, Shannon. Let's just be honest. Everybody put in the chat little, no, and great. It's real simple. It's real easy. It's easy for us to get into those spaces and spots where we have no faith. No faith comes as a result of us. No faith. I'm dealing with no faith. Not trusting God on or in a place where he has already given us clearance. No faith for the disciples comes as a result of us not trusting God in a place where he's already given us clearance. No faith. No faith. Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. It's not limited to this, but no faith comes as a result of us not trusting God in a place where he's already given us clearance. Yeah, where he's already given us clearance. Look, Aunt Cheryl. Look, Shannon. Go back to the picture. Boom. He told them, let us pass on to the other side. And they didn't have the faith. When the storm had arisen, their faith was diminished. Their faith was defeated. Their faith was stilled. Their faith was stopped. Their faith was stolen. Their faith was weakened. Their faith was worried because they got or arrived at a place where they had the word of God, the witness of God, but then they had a storm that dampened the word of God in them. Hey, Renee, good to see you, girl. Good to see you. So don't tell me, please, don't tell me and ask me where my faith is. My faith is, listen, a growing entity. Renee, put that in the chat, everybody. My faith is a growing entity. My faith is a growing entity. Put that in the chat, everybody. My faith is a growing entity. And no faith comes as a result of us not trusting God in a place where He's already given us clearance. He said, let us pass over to the other side. That's this picture. Yeah, thank you, Anna. My faith is a growing entity. Anna, everybody. Matthew 14, when Peter sinks. When Peter sinks. And this is the nugget for me today. Mike was there yesterday. When Peter sinks, Joe Pendergrass said Peter had enough faith to respond to the voice of God in the midst of the storm. He said, Lord, if it be you, allow me to come. And Jesus says, come. So Peter had enough faith in the midst of the storm to respond to the voice of Jesus. I don't want y'all missing that. In the midst of the storm, Peter responded to the voice of Jesus. I think I need to say that again, Shannon, for the people who are missing it. In the storm of life, even though you're losing your mind, your marbles, and your momentum, it would be advantageous for you to still respond to his voice in the midst of your storm. Everybody put in the chat, respond to his voice. Respond to his voice. That does not negate the fear. That does not negate the frustration. That does not negate being fickle. That does not negate that, because you're in the middle of a storm. Anna, if I can still just respond to the voice of God in the midst of my uncertainty. Peter, good morning, Mike. Peter gets out the ship. Peter not only responds to the voice. Everybody say respond to the voice. Thank you. Secondly, Peter removed himself from the victims. I'm waiting on y'all. I told y'all this is terrific. This is teaching. Thankful. Shannon, number one, he responds to the voice. Then he removes himself from the victims. Yes, he did, y'all. He got out of the place where he could no longer continue to exist in. He removed himself from the place where he could no longer continue to exist in. What is that place? The ship with scary saints. He removed himself from the victims. He responds to the voice. He removes himself from the victims. Thirdly, he begins to walk on water. Listen, his routine is now visible. Respond to the voice, removes himself from the victims. He has a routine that's visible. Put that in the chat. Woo! He's walking in the thing that is seemingly defeating him or has him in a place of defeat. That is a great place to shout, Renee, that when God allows you to walk in your storm, And people can see you walking through your storm and your head is still high and you have a joy about you. You might not be happy, but you have a joy about you. And that costs something. That costs something. It might come with criticism from people close to you and far away. It might come with lots of opposition. It might come with a season of uncertainty. It might come, Anna, with trusting God to deliver in his own unique way when you really are not sure. But he has a routine that's visible. He's walking. And then all of a sudden in this little faith experience, he crashes and burns because he sinks. Listen, he sinks in the place that he was standing in. He sinks, y'all. He sinks in the place. He responds to the voice, right? He removes himself from the victims. His routine is visible. But then, listen, he sinks in the place he was standing in. And I just need to pause right there. We have two options in this passage. We can either sink or stand. Based upon where we are in our walk with faith, we can sink or stand. He responds to his voice. He removes himself from the victims. His routine is visible, and he still sinks. A man that was called by God, a man that was changed by God, a man that was corrected by God, a man that was commissioned by God, but he still sank. And Aunt Cheryl, Bishop Brian, Anna, your shout can be a multiplicity of things in this passage. But you ought to thank God by his grace that he allowed you to get close enough to him, Peter, where he could catch you in the place where you were going down. Is there anybody on here? I feel like hollering right there. Is there anybody on here who can shout, put some praise hands in the chat, that I'm standing in the exact same spot where I was sinking? Marriage sunk. Momentum sunk. Ministry has sunk. Mindset has sunk. Motivation has sunk. But God has saved me in the play. Listen, God didn't save me he didn't save me in the ship. He didn't save me in the ship. Y'all, he didn't save me in the ship. He saved me in the spot where I was sinking. That's where he saved me. Listen, I responded to his voice. I removed myself from the victims. My routine was visible, and I still sank. And the saving part has a multiplicity of just nuances. Good morning, cousin. Good morning, Stacy. Aunt Cheryl, you did not realize how close you were to Jesus when he saved you. That's the shout. You was an arm's reach away when you sank, but you was also an arm's reach away when he saved you. And I'm sure you You can thank God today that I'm saved enough to know that God is holding me now in the midst of my storm. He's holding me, Bishop, in my sinking place. He's holding me in the place of my struggle. He's holding me in the place of my pain. He's holding me in the place of my problem. Can somebody just shout, he's holding me? Can somebody shout, he's holding me? And because he's holding me today, here's what I love about the next movement. He allows me to stand. He saves me in my sinking place. Then he allows me to stand in my sinking place. But then, Shannon, he allows me to walk with him back through the thing that was giving me my fits. Jesus walks with Peter through the storm. That's it. Say it again, Anna. Jesus walks with Peter through the storm, holding his hand. And the text said, Bishop, the wind was still boisterous. Listen, Jesus changes Peter's focus once Peter realized who has his hand on him. And he was able to walk back through, Stacy, the storm that was frightening, that caused him to be fearful, that caused him to be fretful. He was holding him. And the text says the wind ceased when they got back in the ship. So the place that Jesus calls you from to the place Jesus gets you back to, you responded to his voice. You removed yourself from the victims. Your routine is visible. Make sure on this Thankful Thursday that your routine, if no one else can see it, you can. Because God is holding you in the midst of your storm. Yeah, he's holding me. He's literally holding me. Like, you got to think. And I'm just elated, Brian Bishop, because Jesus doesn't mind getting wet with you if you get wet for him. Peter puts things, I'm putting some stuff out there on the line, Peter. That's what Peter's telling Jesus. Jesus, you're going to have to hold me in this storm. So that's little faith. And Jesus told them, oh, ye of little faith. Oh, ye of little faith. Everybody put this in the chat, and I'm closing. Put this in the chat. When your storm is raging in your life, in my life, just remind me of this one thing. The vision of God that you had before the storm, don't change it in the midst of the storm. Everybody put that in the chat. Do not change the vision of God. They cried out and said it was a ghost. That's the tension. That God's vision, our vision of God gets changed in our storms. We say what he is on the sea, on the shore, but saying what he is on the shore needs to be manifested on the sea. I can say what he is, but I need to see what he is. Come on, y'all. I don't need to change. Allow my storm to change the vision of God. And these type of situations right here will make you change the vision of God. And you ought to have a vision of God. Thank you, cousin. Confidence, peace, and the ability is restored when when we know who's holding us. A water walker is holding us. A waymaker is holding us. A burden bearer is holding us. That's who's holding us. A storm stopper is holding us. A gravitational pull, upsetter, law of thermodynamics is holding us. But don't change the vision of God. Listen, don't change the vision of God. Can't change the vision of God. You can't do that. So how do you practice his presence? And that's what we want to be able to do. Is number one, affirm his nearness in our heart. When the storms are raging, we need to visualize God's presence in our mind. I need a mental picture of God so that my mind can be focused on the picture of his presence in my mind, just in here. Then I can access him through prayer. Then I can reflect his presence in my demeanor. Are you sad? Yes. Is that emotion real? Yes. Are you afraid? Yes. Are you trying to throw in the towel? Yes. But remember who's holding you. And when you remember who's holding you, only thing you can say is have your way, Lord. With tears in your eyes, let's be honest, with a broken heart, with a spirit that's heavy, only thing you can say is thank you and have your way, Lord. I'm at my Red Sea. Pharaoh's army is behind me. The mountains are surrounding me. I cannot swim. Only God can cause the wind to blow. And the God who caused the wind to blow can cause the wind to blow a different direction. Let me share this with you. I'm done, Brian. I promise I'm done. I'm done, everybody. I'm done. It just hit me, Jada, like a ton of bricks. It just hit me. I grew up in the country, and growing up in the country, Shannon can tell you we used to fly kites. She's the older sister, sibling, cousin, and they would help us fly kites in the field and da 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 da. Excuse me. And it just hit me. Somebody shout what? Somebody put what in the chat? It just hit me. It just hit me. It just hit me. Somebody put what in the chat? Shannon, it just hit me. Somebody put what in the chat, and I'm done. I promise you. Somebody put what in the chat? Shannon, the wind when I was a kid was the very thing I needed for the kite to stay up. That's my revelation. It's mine. It might not be good to anybody else, I'm sure. But isn't it interesting that the thing that you thought was going to cause your demise, Peter, was the very thing that Jesus used to hold you up? The wind. The wind, what he focused on, made him fall. But it was the same wind that was able, if it's used right, that can hold you up. So, Lord, let me take my wind or winds that's keeping me down. Give me the wisdom today so those same winds can hold me up. That's why I haven't given up on prayer, because the wind is holding me up.
That's why I haven't given up on praise. Because the wind is holding me to get up. That's why I haven't given up on worship. Because the wind is holding me up. That's how I have not given up on God being my way maker. Because the wind is holding me up. Can somebody just shout with me? The wind, WIND, is holding me up. All right. I'm going to land my plane there. Let's do this. Somebody put wind. The wind is holding me up. The trust we put in God honors him the much and draws down great grace. The wind. What am I going to stop doing? I'm going to stop this moment, this day, allowing my wind to depress me. And I'm going to turn that wind into something that's going to develop me. I'm going to stop letting the wind defeat me. And now my wind is going to develop me. I'm going to use my wind to develop me. What am I going to be cautious about doing? What am I going to be cautious about doing? I'm going to be cautious of how I reflect on all of my sinking experiences and do not get so caught up on the sinking part only and start magnifying God for the saving part. That's what I'm going to be cautious about doing. I'm going to be cautious about my reflection. I'm going to reflect Jada, but I'm going to reflect on how he saved me, not how I sank. Finally, I'm going to start appreciating the people. I'm going to start appreciating the people who appreciate my walk. Knowing I'm wet, knowing I'm worried, and knowing the wind got me. I'm going to start praying for those people. Lord, I thank you for all the people who saw me wet and was not critical, who saw me wounded and was not critical, who saw me worried and was not critical, who saw me sad and was supportive, who saw me sorrowful but still supported me, who saw me in a place of possible shame and still supported me. I'm going to thank God for them. So, bless that wonderful name of Jesus. Hey, y'all, it's Capri Cares. Know that you can have great faith. Let's go back here. Let's get back here. What makes faith quantifiable? Because it can be measured. What degrees of faith did Jesus address? Great faith, little faith, and no faith. All right. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about no faith. But I'm thanking God for my win. It's Capri Cares, everybody. Know that I care and care that I know. Have a thankful Thursday. Thank God for your win. The same thing that caused you to fall is now the same thing that's going to cause you to grow your faith. Y'all have a great day. Love on somebody. More importantly, affirm you. And affirm you by saying this: I stand under an open heaven and will receive everything that God has for me today. I'll see y'all on another day. Peace and blessings.